The free movement of people and goods is a major plank in the construction of Europe, on paper at least. In reality, roads are saturated, railways underutilized, complementarity between modes of transport is rare, certain outlying regions are badly served, and then there are always the natural obstacles to be overcome. The first to be penalized are Europe's citizens and its economy.
Hay un problema clarísimo que aparece, que son las interconexiones transfronterizas, donde ahí se producen grandes fallos y donde además vemos que no solo no se construyen las infraestructuras, sino que cuando se construyen se suelen construir de una manera asimétrica, yendo más deprisa de un lado que del otro de la frontera, en función de la urgencia y de la importancia de la infraestructura para uno de los dos países, como suele ocurrir en los casos transfronterizos.
Historically, each country developed its public transport system within its own borders, concerning itself only rarely with cross-border links. Conclusion: Europe is too heavily compartmentalized. What are missing are transnational traffic routes. To create them, the European Union is encouraging its member states to provide better connections between their transport networks. This obviously involves a series of major construction projects. In 1994, in Essen, a list of 14 priority projects was adopted by the European Council. Although several projects have not yet been completed, the time has come to bring this list up to date. In effect, transportation needs are expected to double 15 to 20 years from now, and the enlargement of the European Union considerably increases the need for transport infrastructure. On the basis of a report presented by a group of experts appointed by Mrs. de Palacio, whose chairman, Mr. Carl van Miert, was the former European Commissioner, the Commission is proposing a total of up to 30 priority projects to be completed between now and 2020, because they're judged to be in Europe's interest.
Gran parte de los nuevos proyectos que planteamos obedecen precisamente a cubrir esa necesidad de construir ligaciones, uniones entre los distintos países de la Unión Europea, es decir, a dar respuesta con criterios europeos globales y no con criterios nacionales. El primer objetivo es construir unas infraestructuras para poder garantizar la realidad del mercado interior y la competitividad de la economía en su conjunto.
The projects selected address a series of priorities: revitalization of railways and waterways, transport intermodality and interoperability of rail, bottlenecks and missing links, bringing enlargement countries in line, and, last but not least, crossing natural barriers including the Alps. Almost everyone is familiar with the queues of cars and trucks at the foot of the mountain on the French-Italian border. The Lyon-Turin-Budapest link is more of a priority than ever. This high-speed goods and passenger line will ease congestion in the road tunnels under the Alps, which are on the point of saturation. The Iberian Peninsula suffers from the same handicap. The Pyrenees bar its route to the rest of Europe, leaving only two narrow corridors. In the longer term, it's therefore planned to build a high-capacity rail connection to prevent the asphyxiation of the Pyrenean valleys. But first, it's necessary to address the incompatibility of the rail networks in Spain and Portugal, whose track is about 20 centimeters wider, with those of the rest of the Union. Our priority project concerns the refurbishment of the TGV network. On the one hand, laying a third rail to allow standard trains to operate, and on the other, by using variable width axles. In the coming years, travelers will be able to cross the entire continent of Europe by high-speed train. It's also possible to get around natural obstacles such as the Alps and the Pyrenees by way of the sea. Hence the proposal to circle Europe with 4 motorways of the sea. The idea is to create regular shipping lines dedicated to goods. They will serve a limited number of ports, but with the capacity, speed and punctuality to compete with road transport. There is a twin objective here: to relieve overused zones such as the Transalpine regions and the centre of Europe, but also to link isolated or outlying zones within the Union. There is a specific problem with the Baltic Sea. Icebound for part of the winter, an adequate fleet of icebreakers will be necessary to keep traffic moving. This, however, is only the tip of the iceberg. To enable traffic to run smoothly, logistical and administrative procedures in the ports must be speeded up. Satellite monitoring systems for cargo is one possibility. In some cases, the connections between the ports and the road and rail networks must be improved. To complete the square formed by the maritime motorways, the Commission proposes creating a series of rail and road axes in the east of the European Union. The objective is to link the Baltic states with southern Europe. These routes will cross accession countries whose needs in terms of transport infrastructure are enormous.